sharing.
Okay.
You've started screen sharing. I can see it. There's your slides. Go to the slide mode, slideshow.
Right. Okay. So the title of my presentation is From Technofeudalism to Technosocialism, Fourth Unexpected Roles in Decentralized System. You can download this slide from this address shown here. I already put it in the chat area, and you can contact me in this LinkedIn address. So let's just get on with our talk. Now, so the first part, or I mean, rather the part B of this talk will be, I'll be talking about Bitcoin and the fourth like engine inside Bitcoin. And the other part of Bitcoin that is called the Invisible Internet Project, which is actually a very important part, being a domain name system. All right. And in the second part, I will show how we can actually extend the idea of Bitcoin address to something more general, all right, which I call Omni hash. And, based on Latin, Omni means everything. So Omni hash is just basically the hash everything. And in part D, I will talk about how we can actually use fourth again to extend a different project, okay, through the user ID. And of course, we like to clarify what is the goal of doing this. That is to create a one-to-one replacement for mainstream social media. So this is the Bitcoin chart that I just downloaded a few minutes ago. All right, you can see that it's going up very, very high up, 91,000 US dollar. Now, hopefully through this talk, we can have a deeper understanding of Bitcoin and also decentralized system, which I think there is actually a lot of misunderstanding around it. Now, just to give the overview of what I plan to talk about, we may actually say that Bitcoin has made fourth or the variants the most valuable and popular programming language in the world. By the number of devices and the wallets, and the value. But of course, however, based on the number of programmers, it doesn't be so popular. So the next part of what we plan to do, hopefully we can, change that. The decentralized system that we have today is a bit like bankers, yeah. It's like they make a few people very rich, but most of the free software programmer don't actually get very much rewards from that. So the next 25 years, I hope, we can make decentralized system more like McDonald's, right? I mean, that's not a very good analogy, but you will see the details. Now, just a quick explanation of these two words, technofeudalism and technosocialism. The first one, technosocialism, is actually coined by the former Greek finance minister, to compare the top American technology company actually have a large concentration of wealth, and they exploited the users' data and the source code provided by free software programmer, just like the feudal lords and their peasants. Now, technosocialism has been used by several authors, but it's not so popular. But I'm sure everyone understand, how free software programmers, to education as well as the progress of economy in many countries. But unfortunately, the term socialism has been like maybe considered politically incorrect in a few countries, so it's not very much discussed. So we may actually say that we are halfway towards techno-socialism based on the timeline that I mentioned earlier. Now, this diagram I think can very well illustrate techno-socialism, all right, in the sense that you can see that this is actually the revenues of the top five technology company: Microsoft, Meta, Amazon, Google, and Apple exceeded 1.6 trillion in 2023. And they have used a lot of user data and source code from free software programmer without rewarding them, right? Now, so this is the chart to illustrate what we mean by techno-socialism, feudalism. Okay, now quickly go into Bitcoin. Now, if you download the PDF that I put up on you can actually copy this address and open it. Now, obviously nowadays there are so much documentation about Bitcoin. Newcomers may get lost, even like old-timer programmer. There are too much noise, but this is a good starting point. You just go into this script. Now they simply call it script instead of whatever name related to fourth, but unless we contacted the core developer, we wouldn't know why really they do that. Now, in a minute, I'll show you how similar it is to fourth, or in fact, you may just call it a copy of fourth. Now, this is further down the same page. Yeah, you can see these are the opcode, right? So you can see dub, nib, over, peak, row, and so on, right? So obviously, these are the meaning. I'm sure all of you are already veterans in fourth, so doesn't need to explain too much. Now, further down that page, there's a very interesting example, okay, that shows how there are quite a few examples. We just look at one very simple example, all right? So this is okay, right. Starting from here, if you can see that it is actually sorry, right, I just muted myself accidentally. Now, starting from here, the stack is empty. This is the script being entered. All right, you can see that there's a signature public key. These are the opcode dot hash 160 pub key equal verify opsig. All right. Now, if you follow this sorry, I lost my screen. Are you able to see my screen? Sorry.
Yeah, you're fine.
Your screen.
Okay. All right, good. Yeah, I'm just a bit confused by this. All right. Now, I'm sure you all are very familiar with how fourth works. Yeah. So this works exactly like fourth, right? So first you load the signature and the pub key, and what is remaining are the script. And then just very quickly, what it says here, the constant are added to the stack. All right. Then the series of operation is just to verify the signature and the public key are valid. All right. So you can look at the details. Now, this is just to show you how similar it is to fourth. I'm sure most of you understand how it works. So the next part is just to show you the location, right? Now, if you are new, then maybe you won't be able to find this thing, and so this will save you some time, maybe a few hours, a few days. You can just go in and this is where it is with the file name and the link. Okay. And you can see that this is where the eval script function begins. And you can see that's how it is, it goes through all the opcode and execute the opcode, right? So if you are working on anything similar to C to FOF, right, then you would find this quite familiar. Okay, so these are all the still in eval script, right? Now this is where the opcode goes into the individual opcode, calling the C function for execution. All right, so you have the this is drop and dupe and so on. Okay. Now we won't go through the detail, just to show you some of these things, just to get an idea. Obviously, we can do that in the future if you want to further understand how it works. Now, the second part, in Invisible Internet project. Now, this is actually a very interesting project, which I'm not quite sure why it's so low key. I suspect now this Invisible Internet project, or short form I2P, started in 2003, I think. It was actually much earlier than Bitcoin. So I have a theory that I think the core developers of I2P actually became the core developers of Bitcoin, and they become the Bitcoin billionaires. And so they don't really they are not so keen on promoting I2P, except just focusing on the privacy aspect. So anyway, now what I want to highlight is that it is actually a replacement of the domain name system. Now, those of us who have gone through universities in science, we have thought that domain name system is like the de facto system and there's nothing else which can replace it. But actually, that's not true. So this is now I have made a YouTube video which you can look at it on this address, okay, to explain how you can set up I2P. Now this diagram, they are actually, the documentation of I2P are not very good. This diagram basically shows us all this the principle of I2P works, and of course the source code are all available. All right. Okay, so yeah, just to show you how it looks like. You need to set it up. This is the router console. You need to set it up on your own PC. Now, this is one of the notes that I have myself, and you can actually access it through the GitHub page, which can be available from here. Okay. And this is how you set up the router, just to let you get a feel of what it is like. And I'm doing this to show you, I believe that this is something that everyone should be doing, because the main idea of this I2P was that you imagine the cost of every programmer set up a server, all right? You need to pay like at least like $100 a year just to get the domain name and the cloud service. But using the I2P, what actually you are able to do is you are actually able to turn the cost into revenue. So that is a huge saving. Okay, so that is the end of my first part. May I know how many minutes I have left? I'm actually a bit lost on the timing.
No worries. 6 minutes.
Okay, 6 minutes. Okay, so I'll just quickly wrap up. Now, this is, I would say, the critical part of how we extend Bitcoin and everything else into something simpler. All right, the hash of everything, or Omni hash. Okay, so if you go to the Bitcoin documentation, you will find this hiding in, of course, in volumes of text. A Bitcoin address is a 160 bit hash of the public key. Okay, that's what here. All right, just to make it simple. So the hardest thing to do is actually finding the simplest and the fundamental definition and extend it to a new framework. And we did that with a bit of luck and persistence, basically. Now, so what we have done is that we have used the hash of public key as a user ID. All right. Now that is the new anchor or the bricks, okay, for building a new decentralized system. Now you can go into this video to look at the details. But what it means is that you will do the login in a different way from conventional websites. All right. That is, first you click authentication button, and it will tell you you do not have a key generated. Then you will try to generate it by pressing the gen key button. Then after that, you will get a public key and the private key. Of course, you wouldn't share your private key with the server, but you will share your public key with the server. And after a series of authentication based on RSA or SSL, something similar, we can talk about in the future. Then the next thing you do is that you get the hash. All right, the hash is, of course, now in this case the hash that we use is a 53-bit. Now why we use 53-bit is because in JavaScript the IEEE floating point number is 64-bit. The 53-bit is actually the integer part. Now the reason why we choose that, another reason is because it's small. It's only 53-bit, and when it is converted to a string, which is base 64, that means divide by 6, and that means 6-bit for each character. You get about 9 to 12 characters, which are tolerable. Otherwise, it's much longer, then it becomes intolerable. Right. So that is the part where we have this user ID hash. The next part, this is about how we can combine all kind of digital assets with the user hash. Okay, so basically we just put it inside a JSON object or JSON string. Okay. Now, so if we do that, so what we can do immediately is we can put the I2P address. Now this string that looks very long and look strange looking okay, this is actually a I2P address. Now what I'm doing here is I'm associating this I2P address with a user ID. Now that means this JSON object, I am declaring, okay, this person called Donald, this domain. Now, by having this ownership, then we can use it to, for example, to make a payment. All right, that means you can actually set up your own cloud server for free and charge people for sharing your network bandwidth, your CPU, and of course your storage. So it makes it much cheaper for one to set up a cloud server. So in order to compete with the rest. All right. Okay, so I think I will just wrap up by saying the last bit. Now the next part is we created a fourth shell in JavaScript, okay, which is like 3 kilobyte. So these are just the details. But the idea is that we are able to combine the users of many free software projects so that they can form a larger larger user base to compete with the bigger social media operator. Then in the end, hopefully we can make some money, you know. As you know, I'm not sure in America, the older programmer are facing early retirement, but in Asia, it's actually quite bad. So anyway, so I think I will end here on, of course, if I have extra time, you're welcome to ask more questions. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We'll give you a couple minutes for questions, if questions there be.
I will mention one thing if I have some time. That is, I heard the earlier presentation about soup and this, what is it? Swift OOP, and the other one is called Forthing, right? So there's only one point I want to make a comment about that. Let me see. Right here. Okay. Now, obviously, when we come across people doing similar project like Soup Forthing, right? It's like, you know, the programmers are fragmented. Yeah, we do not have a way to work with each other. So the idea is that the Omni hash and the decentralized user ID to create contracts where we can actually work together. And from here, hopefully we can, you know, create more useful projects and perhaps charge money from the users. So yeah, that's the final comment from me. Thank you very much.
All right. I think it's time to move on. Thank you so much. We really appreciate the talk.
Thank you, Liang.
All right, I'll just give up the share.
A virtual round of applause. So,
Okay.
Bob Armstrong, you ready to go? Awesome. Do you understand
There
it's
should be. Everybody seeing and hearing?